WBRZ Plus.
But it's a different feel to News 2 at 6:30. Good evening and welcome in. It's a sports takeover. Every Tuesday night here in the fall, we're taking over a newscast to talk football of all sorts. And joining me in that endeavor, two men well suited to chop it up. Matt Moscona, host of After Further Review on 104.5 ESPN Radio, and Shea Dixon, who's currently homeless right now, at least for another week, but he's going to find his spot. Shea's been on the recruiting scene for about 15 years, and he's got his own announcement, his own signing ceremony coming up in the next couple of days of where he will be working. Guys, thanks for joining us, and let's get right into it. I want to get your big takeaway, I guess, as LSU prepares to start the season. What do you want to see out of this LSU team? Brian Kelly coming in. And I'll start it off. That's where I want to really see what he brings to the field. You know, we've heard all about his resume, but will this be an instant impact where I guess we see a crisply played game? Play calls getting in on time, of course, no pre-snap penalties. We've seen timeouts out of timeouts in the past, so maybe that's a thing that is over now. Will it be schematically, maybe a commitment to the tight ends in the passing game, running backs involved in the receiving game more than we have in the past? Or is it more of a long-term play? Is Kelly here to rebuild the roster, you know, into a revamped offensive line room, or certainly kind of restructuring the way that we've seen tight ends play, at least here locally in Baton Rouge? Matt, let's get started with you. I think we got about a minute and a half to chop this one up. What do you want to see out of this Tiger football team?
Immediate short-term coaching cost LSU 3 games a year ago. UCLA, Auburn, Arkansas. If LSU's better coached, better prepared, they win those games. But for me, it's more of a long-term play because the last 3 head coaches at LSU have all won national championships. They've done so using a model that Nick Saban set in place, which is put a fence around Louisiana. If you recruit the best players in the state, then you will be able to build a championship roster. The one question about Brian Kelly was fit. How else fit working for Scott Frost in Nebraska, by the way? I don't worry so much about fit, but Brian Kelly, I think, has been very self-aware in building a staff that understands Louisiana and should be able to help him recruit this state. Do that, you should have a roster that can compete for championships in very short order.
Shea, our recruiting analyst, that plays into your hand, I guess. What are you wanting to see out of this Tiger team?
I think recruiting-wise, quickly, I would say that they've answered some early questions. You don't go, many programs go 500 basically, back-to-back regular seasons, and still go out and have a top 5 class. That's what LSU has right now. In the middle of the summer, they were ranked 50 nationally, and fans were pressing the panic button. But as we know, recruiting is a long game. We're not anywhere close to December yet. But to be sitting alongside Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, the teams that are kind of running off national championship appearances, playoff appearances consistently in recruiting, that's what you want to do. So I think they've made an early check mark there, as far as Matt said, too, locking up the state. Shelton Sampson, Ricky Collins, Kylan Jackson, Caleb Jackson. I'm naming guys just in Baton Rouge. Yeah. So I think they've done a really good job of identifying guys here and then going national to also recruit.
I have a question.
Sure.
Is the 90 seconds just for me, or was that for both of us?
I think it was just for you, but that's
okay.
Right. It's a feeling out process.
No, that's what I'm serious. Like, do we have to, is it 45, 45? Is it 90? Then he gets 90? I don't know. I don't know the rules.
Well, it's supposed to be, you know, amongst everyone, but
okay.
But that's all right.
I'll keep it shorter.
That's all right. Hey, curveballs are what we're all about, and we already got our first one from Brian Kelly this week. Last week he said he would decide on a quarterback over the weekend, and we all assumed that meant he would name his quarterback on Monday at his weekly press conference. That was not the case. We were certainly wrong. Brian Kelly did a little okey-doke on the media saying he's decided on his quarterback, but he's not going to announce it until game day, calling it instead a tactical advantage.
We've made a decision, but I'm not going to announce it publicly. And certainly I think everybody here wants to know who the quarterback is. I get that. But I think it's a tactical advantage for us not to announce it. So I'm going to hold that announcement because I think it gives us a tactical advantage for not playing. Look, Florida State played a game. That's an advantage for them, having the opportunity to play. The advantage for us is that we haven't played.
All right, guys, fair or foul on Kelly holding his cards close to the chest? 1 minute now, so 1 minute for both of you, 30 seconds.
1 minute each? Oh, 30 seconds for me. I'll keep it short.
Your thoughts on the Tiger quarterback battle?
As far as him deciding whether or not he's going to name a starter, I think it's largely irrelevant. If he thinks there's a tactical advantage, even minor, okay. Precedent, a year ago, Brian Kelly went through the same situation, did name a starter midway through camp. So he's done it both ways. Let Florida State find out. We'll all find out together. Most importantly, just making sure that the starter is getting all the first-team reps right now.
Shea?
I think another thing that's obvious at this point is you can only pull this once, kind of, right? So I understand why he's doing it in that regard. I also think anyone, and we've all been at practice all offseason, it would sort of be a surprise if it's not Jaden Daniels. So you can keep them guessing for a little bit longer, but I would say that they've called it close. We've seen probably 60-40% reps, but from talking to people at Notre Dame, that's about what he gave the reps to the quarterbacks normally, even when they did have a decided starter. So I think it would be more of a surprise at this point if it was Nussmeier, and I guess you can leave him keep him guessing for just a little bit longer.
Yeah, you know, Coach Kelly talked about just the similarities between both of those quarterbacks and not really having to expand the playbook.
We're going to be natural in the ability to kind of flip to the next play with the next quarterback. This isn't that you have to turn over your play sheet and go to, Jaden Daniels play calls or, Nussmeier, game plan. It's one and the same. So I think that in itself keeps you so engaged in what's going on.
Yeah, Coach Kelly said yesterday you're not going to go hide your helmet under the bench, right? So everyone needs to be involved. Now, Nuss isn't going to be in there signaling play calls. They've got other guys that will be doing that. But I do think that they're close enough in capabilities, schematically, that both of them might see playing time. People have asked me, do you think Nussmeier gets any reps? I think not meaningful reps.
If this were a situation like with Texas A&M, where they open up with Sam Houston State and then Appalachian State, it would be so much easier to divvy up the reps and get both guys engaged until you get to your big game week 3. But because you open up with Florida State, you've got to hit the ground running. There's just no substitute for experience. I mean, the one thing we've all heard about Garrett Nussmeier is the term gunslinger. And that can cost you, turnovers can cost you in a game like this, which I think we all suspect to be close, which is likely why he's going to go with the guy who started 30 games in his career.
Yeah, and we'll find out on Sunday, no doubt about it. When we come back, we're talking about that first game. Florida State already has one under their belt. We'll look at the Seminoles coming up next.
Love is in those first precious moments of life, embracing those first magical steps, watching your children grow and thrive. In every stage of life, we will be here for you every step of the way. From our board-certified pediatricians to expanded access 7 days a week, there's a lot to love. Baton Rouge Clinic, caring for generations.
If you love tennis, then you'll really love the BetRivers.com sportsbook app, where you can smash, slice, and spin your way to big-time tennis paydays. That's because we're serving up the excitement of live streaming and in-game betting, where you can bet on all the non-stop action from matches around the world. Plus, with BetRivers' award-winning customer service, it's always game, set, and match. Download the BetRivers.com sportsbook app today. It's a whole new game.
When you're remodeling your home, from the simple to the complex, let Regal Remodelers handle all of your projects. From bathrooms to flooring to full kitchen remodels, Regal Remodeling can take the stress away. Call today, 810-3388 for your free estimate. Let Regal Remodelers show you how beautiful your home can be. 100% financing is available. When you're looking for quality craftsmanship at an affordable price, call the experts. Call Regal Remodelers at 810-3388 today.
What happened to Sarah Stern?
We threw her off the bridge, and the body never showed up.
Liam was a childhood friend of Sarah's.
Preston was another friend of Sarah's.
Or at least she believed that to be the case.
You just never know. You never know who your friends are. It's kind of scary.
Now, the stunning details. The 2020 special event with friends like these. Friday night at 9/8 Central on ABC. This sports coverage is brought to you by BetRivers Sportsbook. You are watching News 2 at 6:30 on WBRZ+.
Yes, indeed you are. Welcome back, everyone. We're in the middle of a sports takeover of the news, talking football. That means we're talking LSU, Florida State, the season opener kicking off Sunday down in the Superdome. We've already gotten our first look at the Noles, though. Florida State opened up the season at home this past weekend against Duquesne, and the thing that'll stand out about this one, the rushing game. 406 yards rushing, 6 rushing scores, 0 passing touchdowns. Just didn't really attempt the passing game, and when you're playing Duquesne, why do you need to, right? 1 interception, though. I thought that was interesting. Matt, you were telling me you watched every snap of this game.
I watched every stinking play. You wait 8 months for football, they're going to give me football. You think I'm not going to watch football, especially when it's LSU's season opening opponent, and especially when I had Duquesne plus 42? You better believe I was locked into the bitter end. Cash that ticket too, by the way, Cobbs.
Way to go. Shay, any thoughts on the Noles?
I think that it was evident. People debated, is it more advantageous for LSU that they saw FSU play, or is it more advantageous for FSU that they got to shake off some rust? And there's probably some positives to both, but as you noted about the passing, or Matt could tell us from being a degenerate watching every play, that it's kind of felt like Florida State didn't really have to show any cards, right? Like, you just run the ball. But, again, I think that's what we'll go back to what we're talking about. Brian Kelly's got familiarity with Mike Norvell and this FSU team, so I don't think he needed this game to really tell him all that much that the past couple of seasons and them facing each other have told him.
Undeniable strength for Florida State is their running backs. They are not super talented at receiver. I don't think that's a problem for LSU. The big question for Florida State, brand new offensive line. Their starting center did not play on Saturday. They shifted some guys around. Massive ask to block this LSU defensive front. Florida State ran for 400 yards. That wasn't a fluke. I mean, they had holes, and their running backs are really good players, but it's just a much different challenge. Duquesne had defensive linemen that are my size. It's just not going to go well when you're playing a major D1 program.
Did they have success inside the tackles? Because
absolutely. Florida State has 3 very good running backs. They're all very capable. All went over 100 yards. First time in the history of that program they've had 300-yard rushers in the same game, and it was no fluke. If you're throwing shoulders, these dudes they got balance. They'll bounce off of you, and they'll make you pay. So LSU's got to wrap up. But Cobbs, I think that's the big advantage for LSU, though, is Matt House in this game.
Yeah. And Shay, you mentioned it, the familiarity that Notre Dame and Brian Kelly have with Florida State. It feels like they played each other every other year. Coach Kelly actually talked about that. And it was interesting because it's not necessarily a deal where, he's going to know the Jimmies and Joes of this particular team. But when you see somebody as often as you do, you alluded to it, you understand their tendencies. And Coach Kelly was actually able to tap into some of that, although it's with a new staff now, and kind of share his, I guess, long-term thoughts on the Seminoles.
There's a new offensive and defensive coordinator for me. It's a whole new team. I don't know that it really helps as much as I can give and lend a little bit more, to our coordinators. I meet with our coordinators, daily, so I can give them a little bit of insight in terms of, what they're about and how they play the game and what they're looking to do on offense and defense. But that's about it. Other than that, this is a whole new operation for us relative to coordinators and the football team in itself.
All right, here is the game board. A lot of similarities, as we said, but LSU still the favorite in this one. Matt, you had some thoughts, I guess, just on the similarities between the two.
I do think there's an advantage for LSU in this ball game, and that Brian Kelly has game planned for Florida State. I think the sincere advantage for LSU, as I said, was Matt House, because Matt House hasn't been a defensive coordinator since 2019 when he was at Kentucky. Mike Norvell said this week he's had to go back and watch Kentucky film, Kansas City Chiefs film. They've had to go look at Oklahoma State film to look at Jark Bernard Converse. It's unsettling for a coach if you go in and you feel unprepared. I think Florida State's offensive staff, not knowing what Matt House is going to bring, what the presentation is going to look like, is unsettling for Florida State this week.
It's almost like you do this for a living, because we're going to segue and talk about that Tiger defense coming up in our next break. But don't forget, you can watch the game right here on WBRZ. And before that, we have multiple preseason specials coming your way. One Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. We're at the halfway mark when we return. We're talking about those significant changes that Brian Kelly's making off the field with Shay. Also talking about that Tiger defense that's coming up next.
Your heart and vascular system is at the core of your overall health. Trust your care to Cardiovascular Institute of the South, a world leader in the diagnosis and treatment of heart disease, artery and vein disease in the legs, and heart valve disease. CIS cardiologists offer the most advanced, innovative, and compassionate care for the complete health of your heart and legs. Schedule an appointment at one of our 3 locations in the Capital Region at cardio.com.
Cherry Lane Buick GMC is the #1 Buick GMC dealer in the state, district, and Baton Rouge. We offer great prices on our huge inventory of new Buicks and GMCs.
I buy all my vehicles from Cherry Lane Buick GMC.
Cherry Lane Buick GMC guarantees free oil changes for as long as you own the vehicle.
The management team here at Jerry Lane Buick GMC would like to thank everyone for your continued support.
6615 Florida Boulevard, JerryLaneBuickGMC.com.
Louisiana's North Shore is turning up the heat for the Tammany Taste of Summer. Plan your escape to St. Tammany Parish for delicious deals on dining, hotel stays, attractions, and more this August 1st through September 15th. Sign up for your free Tammany Taste of Summer Savings Pass to access special menus, offers, and to find participating St. Tammany businesses. Sign up today at TammanyTaste.com.
If you call one of those other lawyers for your car wreck case, you might not get the same person twice.
He only comes in on Tuesdays. Is there another lawyer I can connect you with?
Get a lawyer right here, right now.
Get even? Call Steven.
Call 500-5000.
Thursday is ladies' night all day long. If you're in the mood for a Mexican chocolate martini or a refreshing raspberry lemon drop martini, grab your gals and come cool off with these hot drink deals. Sarita's Grill and Cantina, Bass Pro Boulevard.
You're watching News 2 at 6:30 on WBRZ+.
Yeah, it's a sports takeover. Welcome back, everyone. Matt Moscona, Shea Dixon, Michael Cobble here talking Tiger football for this first week. We'll mix it up. We'll throw some Jags, some Saints in as the season goes along. But it's the season opener for LSU this week against Florida State. And, guys, I think a lot of people excited to see what the defensive front can do. It's all we've heard, right? Strength of the team, the defensive front. You drinking the Kool-Aid, Shea?
Oh, that's not Kool-Aid. That's true. I mean, if you look at a couple of years ago, we were talking when Ali Gay first came onto the scene that he could just shut it down and be a high draft pick. Obviously, he's gone through some injury and is still here. But you run down Ali Gay, Mason Smith, who has a chance to be one of the best defensive linemen in the entire country. B.J. Ojulari is an edge rusher who, look, his older brother just set the sack record for his team in the NFL as a rookie. This is the same path B.J.'s on. So Jaquelin Roy from U-High is now a few years into the program. Mekhi Wingo, an all-SEC freshman out of Missouri, comes in, and the list goes on. Quincy Wiggins, you could just keep going down the list. So I think the front seven as a whole will be the strength of the defense, but the defensive line, yes, will be one of the best in the country and certainly one of the best in the SEC.
Defensive line, it's undeniable. It's the one spot on the field where you have talent with skins on the wall. But you mentioned Ali Gay, and you're talking about a guy who has stayed healthy this camp, which, as Brian Kelly alluded to, is the first time that's happened in his career.
We got a week left. From an injury standpoint, this has been a great camp. Ali Gay, for example, is a guy that did not make it through any training camp in his previous years here. He did not miss a practice. And that's not just luck. That's training. That's nutrition. That's an incredible medical staff. That's all three of those groups. We had 2 soft tissue injuries. And I'm here not to, trumpet the, LSU way as much as to answer the question on how those 3 groups in particular and having the resources necessary provide for the student athlete.
One thing you'll notice when you looked at all those clips, you would think the D linemen were all hurt. Every single one of them wears knee braces on both knees, but we saw that with the D line and the O line, the 2 guys who were taking the most contact in fall and certainly in spring. Everyone was wearing knee braces. Everyone's, spatted up everywhere. And again, we didn't see in spring or fall camp one single injury with the big guys.
Sometimes injuries are bad luck. Miles Brennan tripping on a dock last year, breaking his arm, it fundamentally changed your season a year ago. That's bad luck. Les Miles doing full contact drills with Leonard Fournette in fall camp in 2016, and Leonard suffers an ankle sprain that carries through the entire season. That's just poor execution throughout fall camp and protecting your players. Brian Kelly's staff clearly has done both while they've had an injury-free camp. Again, like you said, he's got a week left. But Florida State, by contrast right now, has lost 2 centers to injury already for the season this year. They've lost 2 linebackers for the season. Florida State's been bitten by this injury bug. LSU's been relatively healthy.
And that's not by accident, as he just alluded to. It was something that Brian Kelly said that really caught our attention back in media days, it kind of went right over my head. He talked about them being a tired football team when they played UCLA. I thought he was talking about misspoke and was talking about Kansas State in that bowl game, or obviously they would be tired because they only had like 36 dudes out there, but they were worn out, and that's something that we've seen in the past with other coaches wearing the team out. He was very cognizant of making sure this team was fresh when they hit the opener, but also he talked about back at media days being fresh in November, being fresh when the games kind of matter towards the end of the season. It's certainly something that is different, something that we haven't seen around these parts. The knee brace is a great point, and something that Coach Kelly said on Monday at his press conference caught my ear like it caught your ear, Shay, about a pregame walkthrough. Talk about something different. I mean, I had to ask a couple of times just to make sure I understood what exactly was going on. The Tigers will go to the stadium early on game day. They'll do a game day walkthrough at the stadium, which will be the Superdome on Sunday, but they're going to do it back here for night games on game days. And he said it's because he wants to get his team up. Doing it in a hotel isn't good enough. Take a listen.
I like to work our team out on game day when it's a night game. So we'll go to the Dome. We'll work the guys out. We'll move them around. We'll work up a sweat in the morning. And, again, I don't like to keep the guys locked up in the hotel room all day when we have a night game. So, again, we'll go to the Dome, get the sense of the surroundings. So, again, we're not distracted and seeing the insides of the Dome for the first time. And, again, getting them moving. So we break the day up a little bit. Get back, we'll have lunch, they'll have some time off, pregame meal, and then ready to kick it off.
Surprising to me. Surprising to you, Shay?
I think the thing that stands out, it's like a lot of basketball teams will do this, where you get that first sweat out, you get that first wind out before the game. You know, it's almost like you've broken a sweat and worked out, and then you take some time off, and then you play. And I think the bigger thing for me, I'll just focus on, he can do this every game, it's great. And I guess where it's different is they're not doing it at the ballroom of the hotel with a walkthrough. This sounds more like we're going to go out and run around a little bit and work some sweat out. I think that I'll just pick one game, Bama. Every year when they play Bama, and it's at 6 or 7 at night, and they've got a 2-week bye for both teams, and LSU, I've talked to coaches, they've said it. The kids just sit in their hotel all day long, and they're thinking about it, and I think this is a good way to just go out there, get, you know, a workout in, whatever it might be, but keep you from having your mind just thinking about kickoff and more so thinking about the preparation that goes along with it.
Well, all we do is think about kickoff, and we're going to do this every week, so we hope you join us. Matt, we're going to let you go. Thanks for joining us. Have a great show, and after further review, you can catch up with Matt every weekday, 3 until 6 o'clock on ESPN Radio here in Baton Rouge. Shay, stick around. We're going to talk recruiting, but we've got other games going on this weekend. Of course, Eric Dooley will get the Jaguars season started against Florida Memorial over in Mumford Saturday, 6 o'clock. And over in Lafayette, a big one as well. The Cajuns hosting Southeastern on Saturday. That one kicking off at 6 p.m. as well. We've got more with recruiting and Shay Dixon coming up next after this.
Ah, summer is here. Now's the perfect time to enjoy your amazing backyard. Unless you have a mosquito problem, contact the experts at J&J Exterminating. Whether you need a one-time treatment or a monthly control program, call us or go online for a free estimate from a fully certified technician. And take advantage of $50 off initial service. Make this summer the best ever with J&J Exterminating.
J&J Exterminating. Yeah. Shop,
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah!
Before we begin any electrical work here, or explain our upfront pricing here, we perform a home safety check that begins right here at your electrical panel. Because we know that the most important part of our job is making sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
For more information, click to the pros on WBRZ.com. It was the highest of highs and a spectacular fireball when it ended.
Man, I saw what happened at LSU. Man, what happened the last 2 years? It came apart.
Now Brian Kelly is putting the pieces of this proud program back together.
I've gotten to
to love where I'm at in Baton Rouge.
It's a total rebuild in Tiger Town as the Tigers count down to kickoff. The WBRZ Sports LSU Preseason Special. Wednesday starting at 7. Brought to you in part by DraftKings Sportsbook and Home Furniture Plus Betting. You're watching News 2 at 6:30 on WBRZ Plus.
Welcome back, everyone. We're going to wrap up the show with some recruiting talk. Shea Dixon, recruiting analyst, this is your moment to shine. It's been a busy couple of months for the Tigers. Started a little slow, really, but they turned the heat up over the summer. Coach Kelly telling us it was just about the ability to build those relationships, something they didn't have the luxury of doing when they got here back in December.
Yeah, I mean, look, they went from number 49 on July 1st all the way up to a top 5 class right now, and it is exactly that. When they got here, they were making hires to the staff, turning over an entire football operations building almost for the first few months, really, into the spring. So I think they just wanted the time to get to know all the recruits, start to build the board, get guys into summer camp, which gives you in-person evals. That's always big. And we've got B-roll all over here. Thank you for that.
Two phones!
We should be focused on the kids here. That's right. But no, I think that as you see them, that's summer camp right there out at LSU. Once that ended and once the dead period got here, the dominoes started dropping one after the next. We've mentioned already on the show some big names there. Shelton Sampson around the state that they've locked up, one of the top receivers in the country. And another big announcement about to come out of Neville this week.
Yeah, tell us about that one.
Yeah, Zaylon's Hurd, who LSU fans will quickly get familiar with LSU's new starting left tackle, freshman Will Campbell. He was a 5-star coming out of Neville, and lo and behold, Neville's right tackle from that team is a 5-star who is now a big-time college prospect. As you see him there working out with LSU O-line coach Brad Davis. He makes his announcement this week. The expectation is that it'll be the Tigers, and it never hurts to get into a school like Neville, especially if you're getting back-to-back 5-star O-linemen.
I mean, I think that's what Brian Kelly has to do, re-recruit North Louisiana. Thanks a lot for joining us, Shea Dixon, Matt Moscona as well. And don't forget, you can watch LSU's season opener right here on WBRZ Sunday night, 6:30, LSU, FSU. We've got all kinds of pregame broadcasts coming your way before that, so stay with WBRZ all Tiger football season. Thanks again. Have a great night.